I thought they did okay. I'm happy with updates. I know Kojima is doing like the people who make Heavy Rain, and Heavy Rain was fun, so I'm all fine with that. It'd be cool if during that they announced Tifa in Tekken 8. No, I don't know. I heard they annoyed the guy a lot for the last couple of days and was just like, yo, leave me alone. Bruh, you know Konami is watching everybody else's moves. They should. Of course, it looks similar to RE Remake combat, which is it's not a bad thing, but the problem is
What are you?
when you focus too much on the combat, and we know that the person who helped make Silent Hill 2 is not there anymore, right? And once again, what makes Silent Hill, especially that first one, is the ambience, right? The environment, the scenery, what's happening around you, right? That's what really makes Silent Hill. Combat was secondary because once again it's a survival game, and you being able to survive in this world is of course the most important thing, but it's a horror game, so trying to get scared, right, making you nervous is the forefront of what its purpose should be. So if you try to make it too crazy, you end up with something like, what's a horror game that's crazy and not Resident Evil 6, right? And what's crazy, I actually liked Resident Evil 6. I didn't like the story. The story was dog shit. I'm sorry. It was garbage, complete garbage. It didn't make any sense, and I can give you 1,000 reasons why it didn't make sense right the fuck now if you want me to. But the combat in Resident Evil 6 was wonderful. It was actually some of the best action, like FPS horror combat I've ever experienced. It was fire. Yeah, I don't know what to say about that. But the thing is that the game wasn't terrifying because I could do a bunch of shit. Like, why am I gonna be scared when I can do all this shit? But the thing is, if you don't make it good enough, right, you end up with something like Callisto Protocol, where you get this repetitive bullshit while also having an advantage while not, because the game is shoddy and they really didn't put a lot of work into the mechanics. So you're sitting here extra fucking frustrated, where let's say I played Resident Evil 4 Remake the first time on hard mode, right? It was frustrating, but as I adapted, it got easier, and I could feel myself getting better. Callisto Protocol? No. It was like, can I dodge this attack 50 fucking times in a row? Did I fail one time? Damn, I guess I'm starting from the fucking start. Why? Because they really didn't think about defense here. They really didn't think about me really using my environment. It's like the enemies were just crazy, and I was a guy with a stick. And it's like, that's bad. So now I'm looking at Silent Hill, and it's like, where is that gonna lean in between? Like, sure, the puzzles are still there. I did like the effects of the fog. I love, like, the lighting that you see right there. That looks great, right? But ultimately, will I feel that terror that I would in Silent Hill? Will I come across a room and be like, damn, I would rather try to run, use the shots I need to, and survive? Like, Resident Evil 2 Remake, goddamn, that was fucking perfect. Right, that Resident Evil 2 Remake is the perfect example of a horror game in its peak form, right? Yeah, you had the action. Yeah, you could see everything around you. Lighting was perfect. Sound was perfect. I loved hearing a zombie from 3 doors down, right? I'm like, what the fuck is that? And then I'm being chased by zombies, and I run into a room and there's a fucking Licker. Like, damn, Licker tries to get me, barely misses, hits the zombies behind me. I'm like, I can't take the fucking time to look at that while being chased by Mr. X. Goddamn. Resident Evil 2 Remake hard mode first playthrough was one of the best horror experience I've ever had in my fucking life. And it's like, that was the result of Capcom realizing they've been fucking up for a long time and going back to their roots and trying to give a better experience with everything that they fucking learned, right? So, like, I'm happy that this, with combat, it's updated, but I would have rather see just like a good 2 minutes of him exploring while dealing with a problem, right? Like, I get why they're not showing the big P-head yet, because he's an important character, and it sounds like they're gonna give him more background, etc., etc. So I'm excited. But my bad, I didn't mean to go on a tangent like that, you guys. Hold up, let me see. Of course, it looks similar to RE Remake combat. Harada, yeah, probably. Calista was like, oh, you wanted to dodge that? Sorry, we got some shit RNG hidden in the... Yeah, it's... And if it wasn't that, because once again, it's like 30 hours into the game, I know how to dodge. And just for some reason, I didn't get a dodge. Or, guess what? There's a chair right there, right? And my character tries to dodge, and he's like, oh, well, fuck, there's a chair, so I guess I'm fucking dead. I'll try to block, but it's in hard mode. Upgrading your block does nothing, so it's like blocking, I'm negative, right? It's like a fucking fighting game. I'm fucking stun locked now. So now I'm getting pounded from every goddamn direction. It's like, okay, the enemy behind me, guess what? Because I slightly took my eyes off the enemy in front of me, the enemy behind me is like, well, I'm gonna attack. And the guy in front of me is like, well, I'm also gonna attack. And guess what? I can't block behind me because they didn't decide to do something like quick time events that'll test my reactions to allow me to dodge weird shit like this. Because once again, they didn't really put a lot of thought into the extra mechanics. They were just like, dying is cool, which, no, dying is not cool. What made dying cool in Dead Space was the fact that you would struggle for a solid 5 fucking minutes doing everything you could to survive the situation, only to get clipped by some bullshit because a xenomorph came from a vent or something and you die. You're like, damn! And then the death kind of enhances that effect, right? Dying is not the focus of a fucking horror game. That's the last thing you want, but everything else can make that feel better. By the way, don't forget Amnesia the Bunker at some point is short, but the AI-driven monster is crazy. Yeah, I definitely want to play that. I still got Bay of Pigs or whatever it's called to get through too. Callisto is a death simulator. They even sold death animations as DLC, and we looked at that too. We looked at the death animations for Callisto Protocol, and a lot of them were even impressive. It was like they were like basic deaths, right? Like, you got slapped in the back of the head and the back of your head popped. It's like, oh, you tried to make me pay $10 for this? Okay, well, fuck you, I guess. And then I know they had DLC for actual gameplay for that too, where he may survive. I don't fucking know. I personally wish he did die and that everything transferred to the woman. That you wish she was cool, but we all know people seem to have a big issue when characters die for some reason. As long as it makes sense to me, I'm fine with it. But it's like, yeah. So I'm kind of worried. The true ending DLC, fuck that shit. It's like, you should have just given me that, right? Cause while also trying to make me pay for death animations, that's stupid. Come on. Look at that. All of that looks cool. And that's another thing about this game. Like, a big part to Silent Hill 2 was the exploration. And on the PlayStation, that was pretty unique, right? It's like you had a big city. Of course, not every building, not a big city. It was like an area of a city. Not every building was explorable. But there were, like, hidden buildings you could enter and get like extra medical supplies or certain guns if you decide to explore. But that's also what added to the horror. It's like, do I want to risk this with 10 shots left in one thing to heal myself, right? And this is PS5, so I'm expecting, if not all, let's say 80% of it to be explorable for whatever reason, especially when you have updated combat like this, right? Like, there should be way more hidden. See, like Evil Within 2 was incredible, and I love what they did with the open area, right? While also feeling like itself without trying to be Silent Hill. So we'll see what goes on here.